Welcome, everyone. I'm Catherine Mortensen. Welcome to our Americans for Limited Government live stream. Joining me today, as you can see, is Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. And what we want to talk to you about today is a bit of news that is breaking. It's just come across our desks here at our offices. Sorry for the technical difficulties behind me. I want to share a quick video of Marco Rubio. He just posted this on Twitter. And this is about Joe Biden, the Biden administration, attempting to ration treatments, effective treatments for COVID-19. Let's listen to Marco Rubio, and then we will react to that. We'll hear what Rick has to say. So let's stand by. This is the first time I've tried this. Let me play this video.
Every day, it's something new with these people in the Biden administration. And they literally want to punish and control everybody that doesn't do what they want them to do. Here's the latest, all right? Do you know how many people I know, including vaccinated people, that got COVID and were able to get an antibody treatment? And as a result of the antibody treatment, it kept them from getting really sick, kept them from out of the hospital. In some cases, I believe, and I think their doctors believe, it may have saved their lives. I personally know dozens of people that have gone through that, including family members that went through that. And the numbers tell us thousands.
Catherine, that's really not working.
Florida, right? So has made it readily available for people to get these treatments, and you have to get it early. Well, now the Biden administration, because they don't like the way Florida is handling vaccines and not forcing people to do it, in states like Florida as well, now they've decided they're going to ration the antibody treatments. They're going to start rationing it. There's not a shortage. There isn't some crisis, but they've decided they want to start rationing it. This reeks of politics. Let me tell you what this is. This is the Biden administration punishing Florida. And they're saying to Florida and states like Florida, oh yeah, you're not going to have mandates? You're not going to do what we want you to do? Well, then guess what? We're going to cut off your antibody treatment and your access to them. This is ridiculous. This is outrageous. People see it for what it is. These people are completely out of control. I don't know what we can do about it in Congress, but I'm going to start looking at it because this stuff needs to stop. These people are bordering now on tyranny, and it's outrageous. It has to stop. Every day, it's something new with these people in the Biden administration. And literally.
All right. So, Rick, did you were not able to hear it, or poor quality?
It was really echoey, and but the bottom line was what Senator Rubio was talking about is that the Biden administration is attempting to ration the availability of monoclonal antibodies, that treatment for COVID, and ration them for political purposes to try to enforce the Biden's political public health policy on the state of Florida, and essentially say to people of Florida, well, we don't like your governor, so consequently, we're going to punish you and deny you effective treatment for the disease. And the reason this matters is very important. This is not just about COVID. While it's obviously a COVID-related problem, it's not just about COVID. This is the entirety of the rationing healthcare argument that Sarah Palin brought up way back in 2010 with the death panels. It is that same rationing care argument that we've been having with those who have socialized medicine in this country for decades. Because ultimately, if the federal government, and when the federal government controls the healthcare that people receive, factors other than illness and the need for it and the decision by the doctor and the patient become paramount. In fact, the doctor and the patient become the last people in the decision tree, because ultimately a political decision gets made from Washington, D.C., typically from bureaucrats operating in a death panel, determining based on some basic charts who should get the disease, the treatment, and who shouldn't, based upon a bunch of criteria they set that have nothing to do with anything about actual medical treatment and everything to do with either money or politics. Neither is acceptable. And that is and as a result, that's what we're witnessing really for the first time, a president of the United States stepping in and putting his thumb on the scale and saying, if you happen to get sick in Illinois, good for you, you get the best treatment. If you get sick in Texas or Florida, well, not so much. I don't like your governor. That's the essence of this. That's the danger of this. And that's why we've been going after the vaccine mandate so hard, because once it becomes public policy that the government can dictate who gets treatment, who doesn't get treatment, can dictate what treatment you must have in order to be able to get the next treatment. Once that becomes government policy, gets locked in, it is very easy for it to be locked in on every other treatment for every other disease based upon how expensive it is and how available it is. And that is not Joe Biden's decision. There's only one doctor in the Biden household. It's Jill Biden, and she's a doctor of education, not of medicine. And they have no business telling your doctor or my doctor what medicines they should prescribe. And similarly, the pharmacist at CVS or any pharmacy has no business saying, I'm not going to give you a medicine like perhaps ivermectin or any number of other medicines because I don't think it's the right medicine for you. That's, once again, not their decision either. So this is federal government takeover of our healthcare system writ large. Obamacare set the stage. This is now, through emergency edict, Joe Biden doing the same thing, and it's dangerous.
So, Rick, to break this down for people who may not understand, because this is all just breaking, what the Biden administration is attempting to do, or they are doing, is they're telling states, if you don't comply with certain federal mandates that we approve of, like you have to have all children in masks in classrooms, or you have to have all teachers and nurses. If you don't comply with our mandates to get people vaccinated, we will limit your state's access to what are now proven effective treatments for COVID-19. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. And Jen Psaki, the press secretary, made it very clear that when she said that, these are expensive. It's more expensive than vaccines, which is interesting but not relevant, since the breakthrough cases are pretty overwhelming now, and there's no longer any presumption that the vaccine is as effective as originally presented as it would be. So that doesn't mean the vaccine isn't effective. It doesn't mean people shouldn't get vaccinated. What it means is your vaccination status should not determine whether you get treated or not. That is what it means. And for people to say, well, gee whiz, we're not going to allow for a smoker to get a lung transplant because a smoker was smoking and we told them not to, is equally absurd as this. It is the natural consequence of what they're going to do. And it's dangerous because your medicine, your medical choices are between you and your doctor. It is not a federal government decision. It's not a state government decision. It's not a local government decision. It's a private decision between you and your doctor. And when the White House is trying to punish you for a private decision you made, that is wrong on its face and must be stopped. Senator Rubio is right on target. I apologize if the video was a little bit hard to understand, but Senator Rubio was right on target, and I think he's doing a great job. Governor DeSantis has been leading the fight for therapeutics, which is the exact right way to go. We're going to end up living with COVID for a long time. We're not going to prevent it. That ship sailed a while ago. So now that we know that we're not going to be able to prevent it, we darn well better figure out how to treat it and be able to use things like the monoclonal therapy, use various other treatments that are proven effective in a lot of cases. We better start opening our doors to those treatments rather than sitting there and crawling into a corner and saying, oh, we're going to go back to the same thing that we did in 1920, 1919. We're going to sit there and we're going to all put everybody in masks, in cloth masks, and we're going to curl up in a ball and we're going to try to self-isolate. That's, great solution at the beginning of a crisis, really lousy solution 19 months in, after spending billions upon billions of dollars to find treatments as well as vaccines.
Rick, let's give this video a second try. I may have fixed some of the technical issues. Let's try this.
Every day, it's something new with these people in the Biden administration.
It's still echoing,
They literally
Catherine.
want to punish and control everybody that doesn't do what they want them to do. Here's the latest, all right? Do you know how many people I know, including vaccinated people, that got COVID and were able to get an antibody treatment? And as a result of the antibody treatment, it kept them from getting really sick. It kept them from out of the hospital. In some cases, I believe, and I think their doctors believe, it may have saved their lives. I personally know dozens of people that have gone through that, including family members that went through that. And the numbers tell us thousands of people have benefited from it. And Florida, and rightfully so, has made it readily available for people to get these treatments. And you have to get it early. Well, now the Biden administration, because they don't like the way Florida is handling vaccines and not forcing people to do it, in states like Florida as well, now they've decided they're going to ration the antibody treatments. They're going to start rationing it. There's not a shortage. There isn't some crisis, but they've decided they want to start rationing it. This reeks of politics. Let me tell you what this is. This is the Biden administration punishing Florida. And they're saying to Florida and states like Florida, oh yeah, you're not going to have mandates? You're not going to do what we want you to do? Well, then guess what? We're going to cut off your antibody treatment and your access to them. This is ridiculous. This is outrageous. People see it for what it is. These people are completely out of control. I don't know what we can do about it in Congress, but I'm going to start looking at it because this stuff needs to stop. These people are bordering now on tyranny, and it's outrageous. It has to stop. Every day, it's something new.
All right, Rick. So I was able to hear Marco Rubio well on my end. I'm not sure what you were seeing at your end, but just to paraphrase him, what Senator Rubio is alerting the country to is that his state, Florida, has been targeted by the Biden administration as saying, look, you're not complying with all of the things we want you to do in terms of COVID mandates. And so as a result, we are going to ration from your state one of the proven effective treatments for individuals who get COVID. And again, we know, Rick, and Marco Rubio made mention of it, there are breakthrough cases. So there are individuals who are following all the guidelines. They have been vaccinated. They're wearing masks indoors, and yet they're still getting COVID. And those individuals in his state will now have limited access to these proven therapies because the state hasn't complied with all of Biden's mandates.
Yes, and let me be clear. The federal government is providing guidelines by and large in terms of masks and the like, and they aren't the prescriptive law. Now, the fact is, Governor DeSantis in Florida has said we're not going to force children to be masked in schools, and if school districts try to force all the children to be masked, we're going to withdraw funds or withhold funds from them from the state. And the Biden Department of Education has said, "Oh well, we'll come in and we're gonna replace those funds from the federal level because we want the masks to be mandated in the local schools." Let's be clear: there's no federal requirement that masks be included. There's no federal requirement. They're making it up, just like with the OSHA requirement that they talked about last week that they put into place, the emergency OSHA measure. They do not have the constitutional power to do what they're trying to do. So rather than fight it out in court, rather than dealing with this from a legal perspective, they're now attempting to bully people by denying treatment, by denying the ability to say we're not going to require masks in schools. By denying those things, they're trying to bully states and counties into doing what Biden doesn't have the legal capacity to tell you to do. If he wants to make these laws, he needs to go to Congress and make the laws and fight it out and let those congressmen bear the responsibility in their districts so they lose their seats over this. And even then, the federal government does not have the constitutional capacity to do many of the things they're talking about doing. That's what matters. DeSantis is exactly right in his fight, and I'm really glad that Senator Marco Rubio has joined the fight and is getting involved, because the Senate has a way to rein in the Biden administration's extreme reactions, and the way is by going after the budget of the enforcing agency, which would be Homeland HHS, Health and Human Services, and perhaps the Labor Department under the OSHA ruling as well. They can go after them by going after those budgets, and it's a common practice, and it's time for the Senate and the House to start belling up to the bar and saying, we will not fund this, and you will not be able to do these things under any kind of and spend money on these things. If they do that, it'll put an end to this Biden power play real fast.
And Rick, if I'm correct, you actually have contacts within the Rubio office here in DC, and you have already put that forward as a policy solution, something that they can do. Have you heard back from them, or where are they at in terms of what their sort of policy solutions might be?
Well, they're looking at it. And they were very receptive to the idea. Let's just say in general terms, ALG has gotten a lot of different things done by using this process. When the Obama administration attempted to take over the local zoning prerogatives, Americans for Limited Government worked with Paul Gosar, with Mike Lee, with Susan Collins to get a prescription where in the appropriations bill for housing urban development, they were not allowed to spend money on promoting the regulation that took over local zoning. But they weren't able to spend money on implementing that regulation. And as a result, it gave the Trump administration time to fully rip that out by the roots and leave no remnant behind of the Obama federal takeover of local zoning. That's the kind of thing that can be done by using the appropriations process. And since bills don't pass in Congress anymore, what we have appropriations bills. That's what passes. And this is the way to really use the system to defeat the Biden power grab.
All right, well, Rick, thank you so much for your analysis. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I just want to remind our followers and supporters out there, or if someone is watching us for the first time and being introduced to Americans for Limited Government, you can get a daily newsletter from us free into your inbox each day, Monday through Friday. And then we have a wrap-up newsletter we send on Saturday. Go to the best place is getliberty.org. There's a one-click way to subscribe at getliberty.org. So check us out there. And certainly you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would love to have you following us and being a part of our fight. We are grateful that you're watching today, and we hope you've learned something. And please follow us on YouTube and subscribe to our newsletter at getliberty.org.
And don't forget Rumble. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our Rumble channel. So we're everywhere on the internet, and but we can't talk to you if you're not subscribing. Don't leave it up to haphazard whether or not we catch you or not. Give us a chance to be able to tell you what's going on in real time, so you can take the actions necessary to make a difference in various public policy fights. That's what we do. We attempt to inform and engage you. But if we can't contact you, then essentially you're left in the dark. And so let's not let that happen. We look forward to you subscribing. It's free, it's smart, and you will be engaged and hopefully be enriched by being part of the team.